in the quiet mountains of Cameroon, there is a lake that once killed an entire village in a single night. No explosion was heard. No warning signs appeared. People simply went to sleep and never woke up again. The animals died too. Cattle, birds, even insects were found lifeless across the valley. More than 1,700 people lost their lives. Yet the lake itself remained calm and silent. This mysterious disaster happened at Lake Nyos. Lake Nyos sits high in the mountains of northwestern Cameroon. At first glance, it looks peaceful. The water is dark and still. Green hills surround the lake. Small villages once stood nearby. For generations, local communities lived quietly in the surrounding valleys. Farmers raised cattle. Families grew crops. Life here seemed simple and safe. But hidden beneath the lake was something extremely dangerous. Deep under the water, large amounts of carbon dioxide gas were trapped. The gas had slowly built up for years without anyone realizing it. Then one night in 1986, something triggered a deadly release. Within minutes, a massive cloud of invisible gas rolled down the valley. The gas spread silently across nearby villages. People who breathed it lost consciousness almost immediately. Because carbon dioxide is heavier than air, the gas stayed close to the ground. Entire communities were overwhelmed before they had any chance to escape. When the sun rose the next morning, the valley was silent. Villages that had once been full of life were suddenly empty. The tragedy shocked the world. Scientists had never seen anything like it before. Lake Nyos is not an ordinary lake. It sits inside the crater of an ancient volcano. Deep beneath the lake lies a chamber of magma. Although the volcano itself has been quiet for centuries, the magma below continues to release gases. These gases slowly dissolve into the lake water. Over time, the carbon dioxide becomes trapped in the deep layers of the lake. The water near the bottom holds enormous amounts of dissolved gas. Under normal conditions, the gas remains, trapped by the pressure of the water above it. But if the water becomes disturbed, the gas can suddenly escape. This type of event is known as a limnic eruption. Unlike volcanic eruptions, a limnic eruption releases gas rather than lava. And because the gas is invisible, it can be extremely dangerous. The gas cloud can spread quickly across surrounding valleys. People and animals breathing the gas can lose consciousness within seconds. Before the disaster at Lake Nyos, few scientists believed such an event was possible, but the tragedy proved that lakes can hide deadly dangers beneath their surfaces. The night of August 21, 1986 began quietly. Villagers went to sleep as usual. The air was calm. The lake appeared peaceful. Then something disturbed the deep water of the lake. Scientists believe a landslide or small earthquake may have triggered the event. Suddenly, enormous amounts of carbon dioxide began rising from the bottom of the lake. As the gas reached the surface, it formed a massive cloud. The cloud expanded rapidly. Within minutes, it spilled over the edges of the crater. Then it flowed down the surrounding valleys like an invisible flood. Survivors later described waking up to strange sensations. Some people felt dizzy or confused. Others collapsed suddenly without understanding why. Many never woke up at all. The gas cloud spread over 25 kilometers across the surrounding landscape. Entire villages were affected. Rescue workers arriving the next day found an eerie scene. People lay exactly where they had fallen. Animals were scattered across fields and roads. Even insects and small birds had died. Yet buildings and houses remained untouched. There were no signs of fire or destruction, only silence. Scientists quickly began investigating the disaster. They measured extremely high levels of carbon dioxide near the lake. The gas had displaced oxygen in the air. Without oxygen, people and animals quickly suffocated. Researchers later discovered that the lake contained an enormous reservoir of dissolved gas. In fact, the pressure inside the lake had been building for decades. Once the eruption began, the gas escaped rapidly. The process was similar to opening a bottle of carbonated soda. When pressure is released, bubbles rise rapidly to the surface. At Lake Nyos, those bubbles were made of carbon dioxide. And instead of harmless fizz, the gas created a deadly cloud. After the disaster, scientists worked to prevent another tragedy. Engineers installed special pipes in the lake to release gas slowly. These pipes allow carbon dioxide to escape gradually. By reducing the pressure inside the lake, the risk of another limnic eruption is greatly reduced. Today, the lake is carefully monitored by scientists. The surrounding villages have slowly begun to recover. Yet the memory of the disaster remains. Lake Nyos is now known as one of the most dangerous lakes on Earth. The event changed how scientists understand volcanic lakes. It revealed that even calm, beautiful lakes can hide deadly forces beneath their surfaces. The story of Lake Nyos reminds us that nature can sometimes be far more dangerous than it appears. A quiet lake in the mountains once unleashed, a disaster that no one had ever imagined. Even today, the still waters of Lake Nyos look peaceful, but beneath the surface, the lake continues to remind scientists of the powerful forces hidden deep within our planet. As the gas cloud began to spread across the valley, most people were already asleep. The villages around Lake Nyos were quiet that night. Farm animals rested in their shelters. Families slept inside their homes. No one expected danger. When the gas reached the villages, it moved silently. There was no sound, no explosion, no visible warning. People breathing the air simply lost consciousness. Many victims were found lying in their beds the next morning. Others were discovered outside their homes, where they had collapsed while trying to escape. Entire families were found together. The gas had moved through the valley like an invisible flood. In some areas, the cloud reached heights of nearly 50 meters. Because the gas was heavier than normal air, it remained close to the ground. This made the valleys particularly dangerous. The surrounding hills were less affected. Some survivors later explained that people living at higher elevations survived the disaster. Those living in the lower areas were not as fortunate. When rescue teams arrived the following day, they were shocked by what they found. Villages were completely silent. Thousands of animals were dead. Even small insects had been killed by the gas cloud. The scale of the disaster was difficult to comprehend. Scientists from around the world traveled to Cameroon to investigate the event. At first, many researchers struggled to understand what had happened. Some theories suggested volcanic activity. Others believed poisonous gases might have come from underground fissures, but detailed studies eventually revealed the true cause. Researchers measured large amounts of carbon dioxide dissolved in the lake water. This discovery confirmed the theory of a limnic eruption. The gas had been building up in the deep water for years. Pressure kept the gas trapped beneath the surface. When the eruption began, the gas rose rapidly through the water. As it reached the surface, it expanded into a massive cloud. Scientists also noticed unusual changes in the lake itself. After the disaster, the water color had changed. The surface had turned reddish-brown. This happened because deep water from the bottom of the lake had suddenly mixed with the upper layers. The mixing process released even more gas into the atmosphere. The investigation helped scientists understand a natural phenomenon that had never been fully documented before. After the disaster, experts began searching for ways to prevent another eruption. They discovered that the gas was still accumulating inside the lake. Without intervention, another disaster could eventually occur. Engineers developed a unique solution. They installed long pipes extending deep into the lake. These pipes allow carbon dioxide to escape slowly and safely. The system works continuously. Gas rises through the pipes and escapes into the air in controlled amounts. This gradual release reduces the pressure inside the lake. Over time, it lowers the risk of another sudden eruption. The degassing system has been operating for years. Scientists regularly monitor the lake to ensure the system continues working properly. Although the danger has decreased, Lake Nyos still requires careful observation. The surrounding region remains under scientific monitoring. Researchers continue studying the lake to better understand how limnic eruptions occur. Today, the lake appears calm once again. The water reflects the surrounding mountains. Birds fly over the quiet surface. From a distance, nothing about the lake looks dangerous. Visitors who arrive here often find it hard to imagine the tragedy that once occurred. Yet the peaceful appearance hides a powerful reminder. Nature can sometimes hold dangers that remain invisible until it is too late. Lake Nyos changed how scientists study volcanic lakes around the world. Researchers now monitor other lakes with similar conditions. One of them is Lake Kivu in East Africa. Lake Kivu also contains large amounts of dissolved gas. Understanding what happened at Lake Nyos may help prevent future disasters. The tragedy also reminds us how fragile human communities can be. When faced with natural forces, a quiet lake in the mountains once unleashed. One of the most unusual natural disasters ever recorded. Even today, Lake Nyos stands as a reminder of the powerful forces hidden beneath the surface of our planet.